evacuated. Welcome in this Tuesday. President Trump is on the ground in Texas this afternoon. Earlier, he got a briefing from the federal agencies doing the emergency response there. At the same time, Texas authorities are coping with what could be one of the worst natural disasters in American history. There is no agreement on the current death toll except to say that that number will almost certainly climb. It's good to have you along this Tuesday afternoon. We begin this news hour with ABC's Maggie Rulli in Houston. She has our update.
Historic flooding has brought Southeast Texas to a standstill. President Donald Trump and First Lady are on their way to Corpus Christi, where they will see firsthand the devastation Harvey has left behind. Just northeast in Houston, rescuers are working around the clock to save residents fighting to stay above water, floating on air mattresses, piling into canoes, and lifting out of harm's way in rescue baskets. Life and death moments playing out over hundreds of square miles.
It was just a blessing to be rescued.
They've saved more than 6,000 people so far, but thousands more are still waiting to be rescued, and the flooding is only getting worse.
I didn't even imagine that it was going to be this catastrophic like this. This is horrible. I have my 2-year-old. He told me he was scared.
Local dams are on the cusp of overflowing. Officials releasing water from 2 of them to avoid catastrophic structure damage, but that water's threatening homes downstream. All that water surging into already flood-ravaged towns and cities in South Texas. Evacuated residents are flooding shelters to capacity. An emergency shelter at the convention center in downtown Houston, meant to house 5,000, is now at nearly 9,000 people and growing.
We're not going to turn people away.
Hospitals across Houston facing power outages and rapidly dwindling supplies are now racing to evacuate patients.
If you start to run out of supplies and you can't feed people, that's a big problem.
Red Cross is taking donations to send to those most in need in Texas. Ryan Hughes visited the Emergency Operations Center in Fairfax earlier this afternoon and has a status report for us.
The American Red Cross has been working around the clock. It is a 24-hour operation here, and this map gives you a good idea just about how many shelters have been set up as Texas continues to deal with the unprecedented flooding. A team from our area has been on the ground for a week now, and more volunteers are on the way. Tomorrow morning, 2 more emergency response vehicles will be deployed, and 4 trained volunteers will make the drive down south, joining 31 others already in place. It's been all hands on deck inside the Disaster Operations Center, fielding calls and coordinating relief efforts, but this is a huge undertaking and a very long recovery effort. The National Capital Region is in need of blood donations. There was a blood shortage before Harvey hit, and most importantly, it needs financial donations to help offset the cost of sheltering so many people and deploying its vehicles.
Some of our members on the scene are working with the National Guard and others to deploy helicopters to help in moving blood products where they are most needed, and even some workers.
And the Red Cross has made it really easy to donate. You can visit their website, redcross.org. You can also use your cell phone, texting the word Harvey to 90999. We've also listed other ways you can help by visiting our website, WJLA.com. In Fairfax, Ryan Hughes, News Channel 8.
And the question many ask is, what can we do to help? We have all kinds of information for you, any number of places where you can donate, and how you can even volunteer. If you go to news8.net or WJLA.com, we have a comprehensive list. And this afternoon, we are partnering with Wash FM, Hot 99.5 and WMZQ Radio to help with relief efforts. Join ABC7 for a phone bank with the American Red Cross. They'll be taking calls. They'll also be taking donations between 4:30 and 6:30 this afternoon. You can make a $10 donation, just as Ryan told you about. On your phone right now, just text Harvey to 90999, and your phone bill will be charged the $10. 5 minutes after 3 o'clock. It has looked like this since, I don't know, the sun came up this morning, it seems like. There really hasn't been a whole lot of change in the conditions. Meantime, we're getting quite a bit of rain around here, too, Josh.
That's right, Dave. Some places, especially as you get into southern Maryland, picking up almost 2 inches of rain. Now, most of us not seeing that much. You get back toward D.C., and we're closer to about a ½ inch. Now, we are going to hang on to these cloudy skies, especially in areas like Annapolis and over toward the Bay, right on through the rest of the day. We'll slowly start to break this down from west to east. So, of course, Annapolis going to hang on to these cooler temperatures and the showers for the longest. Part of the reason it's so cool today, of course, we have the cloudy skies, but it's also thanks to this breeze. Look where it's all coming from, out of the northeast. Now, much breezier as we get over toward the other side of the bay into the beaches, but still 12 miles an hour for D.C., 13-mile-per-hour breeze in Leesburg, so just making it feel a little bit more nasty outside. So we hang on to the wet weather for today, starting to dry out, though, again, along the Interstate 81 corridor. Meanwhile, the rain for D.C., give it a few more hours. Let's put this into motion here on Storm Watch 7 Futurecast. This is at 3:30. You do see some yellows, some greens still around for us right through drive time, so it is going to be a wet, road spray-filled kind of drive home. Something to just kind of be ready for. As we work our way to about 7 o'clock, getting ready for our Nats game, the rain still hanging around, but starting to dwindle at that point. And then you'll notice here again, hanging on closer to the bay through 9, 10 o'clock. By around 11, that's when things start to dry out for just about everywhere. So drying out through the evening. Temperatures this evening, though, and overnight down into the 50s and 60s. So it's a cool start tomorrow, and we will see a good bit of cloud cover for the morning. About 78 for your high tomorrow. Thursday, we're back up to around 82, but then we get ready for some more rain thanks to Harvey moving our way as we get into Friday and Saturday. We'll talk more about that and time it out for you coming up here in just about 10 minutes.
Josh, thanks very much. A train-truck collision halted Amtrak service earlier today in Stafford County, south of the Washington area. Northeast Regional Train number 84, with 143 people on board, collided with a truck. It happened at Brent Point and Arkandale Road. No serious injuries reported among the passengers. Amtrak got them off safely and provided them with alternate transportation. It's a train that usually begins in Richmond and then services Union Station and points to the north. In Prince George's, Livingston Road had to be closed in both directions near the intersection with Route 210 in Accokeek after a deadly crash there. A garbage truck hit an SUV, which the SUV then slammed into a car, and it was the driver of that SUV who died. No word on a cause at this hour. The investigation there obviously continues. 18 students were expelled from American University after reports of violence and hazing there. A university spokesman said they were part of an underground group known as Epsilon Iota. It was formed after a fraternity was kicked off campus in the early 2000s. Back in 2014, there were allegations of widespread drug use and sexual assaults associated with the organization. Students at AU say they were actually warned to steer clear of the renegade group.
During Welcome Week, they talked about it. During our orientation, they talked about it. Just saying, if you go to these parties, you're putting your safety at risk.
AU has charged now 67 students associated with Epsilon Iota with disciplinary violations over the last several years. Still not clear, though, if those latest expulsions completely eliminated the group, at least this school year. Going on this afternoon, a special election in Fairfax County for the school board. Among the issues in play, the renaming of Jeb Stuart High School, another topic, the transgender student rights issue. 4 candidates are vying for the seat who was previously held by Jeanette Huff, and she resigned that post earlier this year. The election will settle that vacancy. Coming up on 10 minutes after the hour, we'll take a break. When we return, we will check in on the roads around here, all of them wet and slick. We'll find out if there are issues. We've had some throughout the early part of the afternoon. We'll get a status report for you. And an update on our forecast. When might we expect to see the sun again around here?
Has something like this happened to you? Do you suffer with pain like this? Do you have a chronic knee pain, back pain, or other type of pain? Well, if you have Medicare or even private insurance, there's good news. You could get a pain-relieving brace from the 24/7 Health Alert Hotline. Call us right now to see how you can get a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you. These people made a decision to make the call. Imagine being able to get out and enjoy life again. If it hurts to move around, bend over, or even when you sit or recline, make the call. Do it right now. A pain-relieving brace can significantly help with back pain, knee pain, and other types of pain. So call the 24/7 Health Alert Hotline now.
Call 1-800-422-1810, 1-800-422-1810, 1-800-422-1810.
When you have credit card debt, the debt suckers, high rate and high pay, never leave you alone.
Debt is really sucking the life out of them. He's picking up the phone.
Oh, no, not Consolidated Credit.
With one call, they can lower their credit card rates.
And consolidate their bills into one low payment.
They'll pay off their debt in no time.
Call Consolidated Credit now.
Because debt sucks.
Call 800-224-4832. 800-224-4832. Call now.
Life-changing injury, you need a law firm that stands up to the insurance company. And at Chase & Boscolo, we'll do everything we can to ensure you're fairly compensated. And if that means going to court, we're there with you. We have a well-earned reputation for getting our clients justice, in and out of the courtroom. When injuries change your life, call the lawyers that care. Call Chase & Boscolo, 1-800-728-5898.
Larry Smith and Autria Godfrey on Good Morning Washington. Good Morning Start.
Right now, rescuing people in harm's way and making sure everyone is safe is priority number one. But in the coming days and weeks, as the rains and the floodwaters subside and the cleanup gets underway on a wide scale, at some point, Congress is going to have to pay for all of this. And let's be honest, up on Capitol Hill, they've been pretty ineffective at getting anything done this session. The big question is, will we be able to pay for what is likely to be one of the, if not the most expensive natural disaster in American history? David Lawler of Axios joins us this afternoon. We're going to talk a little bit about the bill that is ultimately going to come due. We don't want to get out in front of ourselves, because the most important thing right now, obviously, is to get the people out of harm's way, get them into shelters, and wait for the rain to quit and the floodwaters to go down. But when all that happens, at some point, Congress is going to have to get its act together and get to work.
That's right, and these are big bills that ultimately come through. We're talking tens of billions, even maybe $100 billion. It's going to be hard to get some people in Congress. You would think it would be a non-controversial issue, but when you're talking about money that considerable, it's going to take some pushing to get it through.
I guess the closest analog here is after Superstorm Sandy, that did so much damage in New Jersey and New York and Connecticut and places up along the eastern seaboard. This is one state, one place, and sort of a singular place in Texas. Does that complicate the issue? It's one thing if you've got a bunch of members of Congress who can get together and say, hey, we need this done. But if you're just talking about one delegation, what do you think?
Well, part of the problem is that this delegation actually voted against the Sandy package almost uniformly. Both Senators Cornyn and Cruz voted against the Sandy package. They said basically it was bloated, it was dealing with stuff that had nothing to do with disaster relief. I don't know that that's going to move any votes, because Democrats are more likely to vote in favor of these things anyways, so they might grumble a bit about the Cruz, Cornyn and the representatives there, but ultimately, yeah, they might be able to, still jostle.
And there was, in the case of Sandy, some pork added into that appropriations bill. There is going to be great pressure from the White House and from other places to try and get something done here. Can Congress, is there such a thing as a clean appropriations bill anymore that just does exactly what it's supposed to do and doesn't fund, all kinds of other things back home in your district that you've been trying to get into a bill for a long time if you're a member of Congress?
It's difficult to do. The Sandy bill actually sent money to 21 different government agencies, so when you've got that broad you know, an area that the money's being appropriated to, you know, it's going to be difficult to just target exactly the kind of stuff that needs responding to as a result of this disaster.
And is it also likely to be part of a process as well? Again, what we're hearing is that this could very well be the most expensive of these things. You get them started and maybe begin the process and work at the omnibus thing later on down the road.
That's right. And one option, I guess, is that, you know, we've been hearing about a possible government shutdown, even potentially over the border wall.
You anticipated my question here.
Yeah, and so this is one thing that if Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell want to get something through and they also want to keep the government funded, you know, they can make Harvey recovery sort of a piece of that pie, and then it's much more difficult for the, you know, arch conservative members to push back if it's going to deny these people who desperately need, you know, help.
The Texas delegation, a big one, it's Democrats and it's Republicans, but the two U.S. senators are Republicans, both of whom have said something has to get done here, which is sort of an interesting approach after having voted against the Sandy appropriations bill. Does that make the sell any easier when they go back up? A two-vote majority in the Senate, a slightly bigger majority in the House of Representatives. What do you think?
Well, this is a priority for President Trump, at least for the time being as well, which will make it much more difficult. It's easier for Republicans to vote against something that's being sort of shepherded by President Obama than it is if it's President Trump. And President Trump said today, we want to be the model for future recoveries. We want to make this, you know, something that people look back to as a model. So it's, you know, he's going to need to get something through Congress.
There's going to be a lot of clucking of tongues, too, about the politicization of something like this, because the storm and the flooding makes no determination of your political affiliation. People are getting hit regardless of their politics. But that is a fact of life on Capitol Hill today, that you're going to be divided almost just because of which party you belong.
And people, you know, you hate to say it, but if this takes weeks to pass, this is not going to be the first thing that people are thinking about. They're going to want to get their priorities through Congress, and the momentum can be lost on something like this. And it actually took a couple months to get the Sandy bill through, even though that was obviously a very destructive storm that hit some, you know, multiple states.
It's too early to predict any sort of outcome here. It's not too early, though, to start thinking about this process, because we all know the bills are going to start to come due.
Absolutely.
David, thank you so much. It's always good to have you with us.
Hi, Anthony Sullivan here for the Hurricane Spin Broom. The lightweight, easy-to-use cordless sweeper that picks up practically everything. It weighs less than 2 pounds, and its rotating bristles clean like a street sweeper. It gobbles up everything in its path. Use it for dry food, wet food, pet hair, or tough sticky rice. It even sweeps slippery ice. It's so light, I can pick up a mess using my pinky. The Hurricane Spin Broom is whisper quiet and swivels in and around furniture quick and easy with no cords and no batteries. The secret's the triple brush technology that uses centrifugal force combined with the rotating action to sweep up everything in its path. Just push to empty in the trash, your hands never touch the mess. And the Spin Broom has a mega mouth that's big enough to pick up a ham sandwich. Look at that. The giant corner brushes clean along baseboards and toe kicks with no scuffing and no scratching. Use it on tile, wood, even vinyl. It gets into the grout lines, leaving nothing behind. And the full flat handle lets you easily reach and clean under furniture. Watch this. Even little shards of broken glass are no match for the Spin Broom. And it's so easy to use, kids can and will use it. Plus, you can rinse it clean, and it stores practically anywhere. Vacuums are heavy, and the old way is back-breaking work. And stop chasing around the line from a dustpan and broom. Call now to get the original Hurricane Spin Broom for just $19.99. But order right now, and you can double the offer. Plus, get our Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. Just pay a separate fee. So get your special offer Hurricane Spin Broom for just $19.99. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-867-5014 to get your Hurricane Spin Broom. Call or visit byspinbroom.com. So call 1-800-867-5014. That's 1-800-867-5014. Deluxe version available. Order now.
Kid O'Shea on Good Morning Washington, where good mornings start.
20 minutes after the hour, let's check in with Eric Smith. He's live right now in the News Channel 8 Traffic Center, where he is watching the roads. Eric?
Hey Dave, it is a busy ride in a few spots with wet roadways not helping. This is the westbound side of the Southeast Southwest Freeway coming off the 3rd Street tunnel for 395 south and past the 7th Street overpass. Just a lot of volume here. You'll see a heavier ride for both directions in place right now. And the good news is that the crash on 395 south near Washington Boulevard did wrap up. Onto the Capitol Beltway, top side past Colesville Road on the top side of your screen here. That's the outer loop of the Beltway. Some extra volume is in place here as you head in through Silver Spring and towards Chevy Chase, where the inner loop is slow going this way as well. Taking a look over at River Road, where the inner loop is also quite heavy with delays building out of Virginia towards the 270 spur. We'll see a few of those delays here at this camera just above Georgetown Pike heading up this way. So a lot of volume is in place already. The outer loop beyond this point will be a little bit slow in Tyson's down past Gallows Road as well. And one problem spot on the Beltway is here in the inner loop in the Greenbelt area. This is inner loop past Route 201, and the 2 left lanes are shut down for this crash right now. Looks like an ambulance is in the 3rd lane at this time as well, but that shouldn't stick around. Delays are very heavy off of 95 in this stretch, but off and on it's just going to be heavy across the top side of the Beltway, and the outer loop is going to be slow off of Route 450 to this problem spot. So that is going to be the main concern on I-495. 95 in Virginia, not too bad for now. Northbound here past Prince William Parkway, we've seen some earlier volume, but that is no longer the case. Southbound delays will begin before Lorton, heading down this way to Route 123. You go down to 3 lanes here instead of 4 previously, so that is always going to be a bit of a trouble spot. And we'll try and take a look at some delays on 395 South. As you head past that earlier scene at Washington Boulevard, the crash did clear, but you can see the express lanes and through lanes are going to be a little bit heavy going southbound. That's all from the Traffic Center for now. Dave, back to you.
Eric, thanks very much. I want to take you now to Houston, and that is the police chief standing next to the mayor, and they're giving a briefing right now on the situation. We'll listen.
We called for our dive team. We even used one of our, what are we calling these people from Louisiana? God bless them. Our Cajun Navy. You know, our American Cajun Navy. That helped us look for him. So we couldn't find him, and once our dive team got there, it was too treacherous to go under and look for him. So we made a decision to leave officers there waiting until the morning, because as much as we wanted to recover him last night, we could not put more officers at risk for what we knew in our hearts was going to be a recovery mission. We kept his wife apprised, even though we had a high probability that he was gone. We always hold on to hope. So I called her last night. She was desperately wanting more information. I told her we still haven't found them. We're still looking. We're checking hospitals. You know, we can't communicate with all hospitals because you know, some of them have been evacuated, and that we would keep her apprised of the situation. This morning at 8 a.m., the dive team was out there again, which was their #1 priority, and within 20 minutes, they found him. Unfortunately, in the darkness, Sergeant Perez drove into an underpass that's about 16.5 feet, drove into the water, and he died in a flood, in a drowning type event. Let me just say this, that I had the privilege of notifying his wife and his son and his extended family at their home that he died, and he laid down his life. And of course, the wife had the reaction that we always expect when we see these. But I'm heartened by 2 things. Number 1, I got to learn that it's a family of faith, that has faith in God. And when you have faith, there's hope. There's hope in eternal life. And it gives us all collective strength in the Houston Police Department, knowing that this family knows that as much as they're hurting, like our mayor, who's, I always say that he's always preaching, even when it's not Sunday, he preaches every day. The wife told me she had asked him not to go in. And Steve is one of the sweetest people I've met in this department. I've only been here 9 months, okay? And we've got 6,500 employees, and I knew who Steve Perez was because he was a sweet, gentle public servant. And she tells me, I told him not to go to work. I really didn't want him to go. His father-in-law, who's a Korean War veteran from the Army, combat veteran, we told him not to go because the conditions were so bad. And his response was, we've got work to do. And here's a man that didn't spend 20 minutes and then come back and say, hey, I tried. He spent close to 2.5 hours because he has that in his DNA. And so I told his wife, let me ask you something, ma'am, you're a person of faith. If the Lord is going to take him today, how do you think you would want to go? Laying in bed, watching a disaster, or doing what he's done for 34 years? And the smile that overcame that woman's face, his beautiful wife, said it all. If it was his turn to go, she said, this is the way he would have wanted to go. And so with that, I just want to tell the men and women of the Houston Police Department that what you have displayed for the past 4 days, sleeping on cots, our dive team yesterday, their only meal was a power bar. And they were out there at 11:30 at night, and had we let them, believe me, they would have gone in that water. So for those that have been tweeting about, hey, why are the cops being fed? Well, they can't save people. And despite the fact that we have not been able to do the best of jobs feeding them, they are out there on a power bar having worked 37 hours. So I'm sorry that we're feeding them, but that's why we're doing it, so they can save lives. And so with that, I just want to say that we will continue. This police department is resilient, as is this community, and I look forward to taking this man and giving him the honors and his family that he so richly deserves. So on the day that we have his funeral, and I know that this is Houston, and it's going to be, they know it's going to be a while because we've got some work to do that he would want us to do. We will apologize now when we mess up traffic. But the least we can do is a day that we say goodbye, that this family, this community get an opportunity to pay their respects. And with that, we can open up to questions.
Señor Acevedo, ¿podría contarme un poco sobre esta persona que usted comentaba y cómo ha trabajado la policía en estos casos?
El sargento Steve Pérez lleva 34 años de servicio, tenía 60 años de edad, iba a cumplir, como dice el alcalde, 61 años en 2 días. Creo que el día 2 de agosto. Salió de su casa el domingo.
While Chief Acevedo answers this question in Spanish, a little background for you right now. You saw the incredible emotion that swept over the chief's face when he was telling reporters about the death of Officer Steve Perez, an officer who'd been with the department for more than 30 years, in his patrol car on his way to work Sunday morning when he got trapped in high water at I-45 at the Hardy Toll Road. Houston Chronicle reporting that search and rescue crews were immediately dispatched, and you heard the chief say they had the dive team on the site. It was just too hazardous for them to go in. Eventually they were able to recover Officer Perez's body. The Houston Chronicle calls this the 15th fatality in Texas claimed by Hurricane Harvey or the rains it has spawned. And this number sort of varies between news organization to news organization, but 15 does seem to be a number that we've seen more often in here. Among those 15, a family of 6 swept away by high water in their car. So the one thing that seems to have permeated all these reports is, too, that the number is at 15. It is certain, though, to go higher. News conference here, live coverage, and there have been a lot of these going on. You're really starting to see the strain. It's almost impossible for city leaders and the public safety folks to get any meaningful rest as the situation continues to be bad. We'll, of course, follow it for you very carefully. But around here, we are also dealing with a tiny little bit of weather, nothing near on the scale of what they're having in Houston, but we're getting some fairly steady rains here. And it sounds like, maybe by the weekend, Josh, we could get a little bit of whatever is left of Harvey around here to spoil part of the Labor Day weekend.
That is true, Dave. The good news, by that point, it will be moving much more quickly, so just one day of rain from that. Same with this today. Let's run through a time lapse for you. Cloudy skies have been sticking around. This view here from Nats Park. Can't see the rain as it comes down in this time lapse, but it's been here for pretty much all day long. Not a whole lot of a change in the sky conditions. Let me back up one more. I do want to show you some of the totals we've gotten today. Some of our biggest spots, Brandywine, were at almost 1.8 inches of rain, over 1.5 in Waldorf, as well as Fredericksburg, and getting close in Huntington. So basically farther south and southeast, that's where we've had our heaviest rain. We've seen our biggest totals, and along with that, it's also where we're going to hang on to the rain the longest. At this point here, just want to show you things have really dried out farther down to the south where the storm is coming from. Now it's all pretty much here for us. Drier weather taking over along I-81, but continuing for us through 66, down 95, up 95, and of course over toward the bay, where we will hang on to this rain the longest. Let's run through Futurecast. You'll notice hanging on for us through 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, through the beginning of our Nats game tonight, so that might be an issue if you are planning to head out to the ballpark. Then as we go after that, closer to 8, 9 o'clock, that's when things dry out for D.C., and we'll still hang on to some of the heavier downpours even closer to the bay. So that'll be our last place to dry out. Looking forward to tomorrow, that's going to be a drier day, and it stays that way for the rest of the work week. Overnight lows, check out these numbers, mid-50s to low 60s across the area. So it is going to be a cool start for tomorrow, but with some extra sunshine, temperatures are back up at least a little closer to normal for this time of year. We're hitting 78 degrees for our high tomorrow with a mix of sun and clouds. As we get into Thursday, that'll be a chance to warm up even more. So let's talk Friday and into Saturday. That's when what's left of Harvey starts to have an impact on us. First, just cloud cover on Friday, but then by Saturday, the rain from Harvey is here, and that's going to keep our temperatures down. So that's not really looking like a great day. The good news, again, is that by that point, it's moving pretty quickly. So we'll work our way into Sunday. We're starting to dry out. Some extra clouds hang around, but we're back up to about 80. The nicest day of the 3-day weekend should show up for us on Labor Day. High temperature right around 84 degrees with mostly sunny skies. So looking decent for the next 3 days. Again, clouds start to move in on Friday, keep us a bit cooler. Some rain Friday night and into Saturday. Looking good on Sunday and Monday, and things should stay relatively dry for next week. Right now looks like a good shot at rain as we head into Wednesday, but that's about it. All in all, these temperatures still hanging below average for this time of year. We'll be right back.
Call Mr. TV Mount today for a professional TV installation in your home or business. Moving? Allow Mr. TV Mount to dismount your TV from your old home and install into your new home. Our service is guaranteed for 2 years. We also offer a 10% senior discount.
Usually, we don't have sales, but for just 31 days, Renewal by Andersen is having one of the biggest sales on replacement windows and patio doors. Before August 31st, buy one window or patio door and get your next one 40% off. Plus, during this sale, get $75 off every window and patio door and get incredible financing too. No money down, no payments, and no interest for a year. We're the full-service replacement window division of Andersen, and we promise you one of the most hassle-free home improvement projects you'll ever have. Renewal by Andersen's 31-day sale ends August 31st. Buy one window or patio door and get your next one 40% off. Plus, during this sale, get $75 off every window and patio door. The sale ends on August 31st, and there are limited appointments available. Call to schedule your free window diagnosis. 1-800-685-7575.
I'm all about freedom, so I love this new offer from Cox. I'm free from constant buffering with crazy fast internet. Sorry, instinct. Plus, you get Contour TV, free HD receiver, and free install. Plus, the most freedom-y part, no contract. So switch to Cox and let freedom reign. Or does it ring? Oh, shoot, I should know this.
Get Preferred 100 Internet, Contour TV, and digital phone for just $89.99 a month with no contract, free HD receiver rental, and free install included.
I had a great experience with reasonable pricing. Mr. TV Mount are true professionals. The installers were knowledgeable, detail-oriented, neat, respectful of my home, and with all the wires hidden, my home looks beautiful.
Veronica Johnson on Good Morning Washington, where Good Morning started.
25 minutes now before the 4 o'clock hour, a big picture status report on the continued rains and the widespread flooding from Houston eastward now into Louisiana. Still no official death toll, but as we heard just a short time ago, Houston PD officer Steve Perez was killed when floodwaters filled his patrol car on the way into work. President Trump is in Austin, Texas, where he earlier promised the full support of the federal government toward the rescue effort. Omar Jimenez is in Houston with the latest on the search and rescue operations, still in full force now in the flood zone.
The president receiving briefings on the situation and relief efforts in Corpus Christi before heading to Austin to tour an emergency operations center. Meanwhile, desperate rescue operations are underway across the region. At least 3,000 people were rescued yesterday alone, but countless others are still stranded in their homes.
This will be a unity of effort over a sustained period by the entire Department of Defense in support of civil authorities to ensure that we can continue to do all those life-saving and life-sustaining pieces, again, for periods of days, if not weeks.
First responders, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the entire Texas National Guard have been deployed. Authorities are overwhelmed with calls for help.
The biggest issue right now is just time. Getting to everyone that we need to get to.
Citizens are taking action and rescuing fellow Texans with their own boats. About 9,000 people are staying at the Houston Convention Center, which is well over capacity, but officials say they're not turning anyone away.
We went to Walmart on the school bus, and from the school bus we went to Metro, and Metro got us here. And we're together.
Louisiana is next to feel the brunt of Tropical Storm Harvey, where President Trump has already declared a state of emergency. In Houston, Texas, I'm Omar Jimenez.
And as more humans are being rescued from the flood zone, the worry is they'll have to leave behind their pets. ABC senior meteorologist Rob Marciano has that part of the storm story.
All across flood-ravaged Texas, images like these. Residents carrying their four-legged friends through floodwaters, risking their own lives to save these family members from the rising waters. Emergency personnel taking as many as they can on kayaks and rafts. One boat rescuing 21 dogs trapped from just one neighborhood.
Just trying to keep all the animals safe, trying to get everyone out of here in one piece.
Watch your step, watch your step.
I joined rescuers as they traversed the streets turned into rivers. Seemed like everyone had a pet. We found two sisters who would not leave their dogs behind.
How's it feel to get on a boat?
Wonderful. But not all pets are so fortunate. As the hurricane bore down, a Daily Mail photographer spotted this dog chained to a pole, looking as though he might be swallowed up by the rain. He cut him loose, and the little pup scampered to higher ground. On Monday, the photographer returned to the scene, and look who was waiting for him. The dog he now calls Lucky. His owner still nowhere to be found. And this morning, the photographer hopes he'll be able to adopt Lucky himself.
Rob Marciano reporting there. And as the rains from Harvey continue to fall and the floodwaters rise, the storm reminds many of Hurricane Katrina, which made landfall, ironically, 12 years ago today, also as a Category 4 storm. Katrina, though, is blamed for more than 1,800 deaths and doing more than $100 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars worth of damage. Coming up, a failed hotel project has raised new questions about the president's business dealings with Russia. More on the potential effects of the Russia collusion investigation when we return. And will Amazon do for grocery shopping what it did for online shopping? A closer look at the Amazon effect after its acquisition of Whole Foods.
If you're under the age of 80, please watch this very important message about final expense insurance. While it's never easy to talk about planning for one's funeral, it is very important to do so for many reasons. If you don't have life insurance, a final expense insurance plan pays cash to your family for final and all other expenses. If you're unable to purchase life insurance due to a pre-existing or current medical condition, call right now for information and a free consultation. Perhaps you can't afford life insurance because of your age or because you're a smoker. Call right now. Your coverage is guaranteed. No tests to take, and it's very affordable. Rates will never increase, the policy cannot be canceled, and there are no restrictions on how your beneficiaries can use the money.
And if you call right now, you'll receive a free prescription discount card. There's no obligation, and it's yours free.
Call 1-800-273-1258, 1-800-273-1258, 1-800-273-1258.
An important message for Americans eligible for Medicare. Are you receiving all the benefits available to you? Do you know there is money available to lower your Medicare prescription costs? Now's the time to find the coverage that's right for you at the right price. The way to do that is to explore your options. You can spend hours doing that yourself, or you can call Health Markets and let us do the legwork for you with no cost or obligation.
Call 800-991-4026. That's 800-991-4026.
Only today's greatest sports heroes make it to starting lineup. Collect the Nationals' Bryce Harper on Tuesday, August 29th, when the first 25,000 fans receive a Bryce Harper starting lineup action figure presented by SAIC. Visit Nationals.com for tickets today.
Adriana Hopkins on Good Morning Washington, where good mornings start.
New documents show Donald Trump was pursuing a hotel deal in a hotel deal in Moscow while also running for president. He'd even signed a letter of intent for the deal, and one of his closest aides was seeking the backing of Vladimir Putin's right-hand man. All this despite the president's repeated claims he had nothing to do with Russia. Here's ABC's chief